And when I say it gives me immense pleasure, there's a lot more to that than many of you would probably know. Not only because of the portfolio, its importance to the deliberations we have had, the fact that the minister just started her tenure yesterday, and this is her first official engagement. That's all important. But perhaps what is even more important to me is that I've known Audrey for many years, and long before DPI and digital payment systems became fashionable, she was architecting, conceptualizing, and engineering a national payment system for Jamaica. So she brings to this portfolio not only her experience as an ambassador, 10 years, sort of, I think, um, her plum as a diplomat, but also significant private sector experience. So I think that we are going to be well served. So we're going to start the closing ceremony for what has been, I think, an incredible 2.5 days. And without further ado, I'm going to invite Senator the Honorable Ambassador Audrey Marks, as I said, appointed as Minister with responsibility for efficiency, innovation, and digital transformation. Previously served as Jamaica's ambassador to the United States, where she played a crucial role in strengthening bilateral relations. Senator Marks, I don't know if we need you more there or here, but and as I said, an illustrious career in industry and the private sector. So, without further ado, can I invite Ambassador to give us your remarks?
Uh, I felt that it was going to be a risk to be speaking at the closing. So I said, okay, maybe 10 persons will be here. So I'm very pleased to see you all here taking part in the closing session of this important summit. Uh, I have remarks, and it was timed for 5 minutes so that we don't take up too much time. But I can't start without saying that really, Maurice, as you said, it's a special pleasure for me to be here at this conference as my first official assignment. Because I feel so badly to age myself. But I started very young. But I remember, Maurice, when we started, the internet was just becoming commercial. And the first pitch that I made to a private sector company to say we can collect payments for you, they asked, isn't there a simpler business that you could get into? So it was such disbelief that we could operate the way that we take for granted today, that to be back is almost like closing a loop. To be here now, looking at how the government can be fully participating in driving a digital economy, coming from where almost 30 years ago, where we were in trying to start this initiative. So, for that reason, to be here as part of that drive to close the loop from private sector to government and to share with like-minded persons like yourselves, it really is um, a tremendous pleasure to be here. Even though it was very difficult to get here and to get here today, but I'm happy to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, I take it, Dr. Mansing, that the protocol was done this morning and all the dignitaries have been um, identified. It's very good to see young Mr. Matt Norton. Have you returned home? Mhm. It's time. I always like to see our young people who have gone to the best schools in the world come back and be part of driving Jamaica forward. As we come to the close of this impactful Caribbean Digital Public Infrastructure DPI Summit, I want to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation to the organizers, the University of the West Indies, Mona School of Business and Management, co-develop, and all other partners for bringing these critical conversations to our shores. Your vision and commitment have brought together an extraordinary gathering of experts, thought leaders, and policymakers dedicated to reshaping a resilient, inclusive, and digitally empowered Caribbean. This summit has reinforced what many of us already believe, that building a robust public infrastructure is both a policy priority and a necessity for the Caribbean's sustainable development, resilience, and global competitiveness. One of the strongest messages emerging from this summit is the importance of regional cooperation. We must work together toward a shared vision where digital transformation improves the lives of our citizens and strengthens our economies. As Jamaica's newly appointed Minister for Responsibility for Efficiency, Innovation, and importantly, digital transformation, and let me pause to say many persons have been speaking about MOJ, and so the focus is on efficiency. But for today and generally, I find it equally important for the focus to be on digital transformation because it's going to be so important to drive the efficiencies that we are seeking. So I'm pleased to share that we are taking deliberate steps to modernize our governance and economic systems with urgency and purpose. We have launched a transformative program called SPEED, streamlining processes for efficiency and economic development. SPEED is about cutting red tape, eliminating unnecessary bureaucracy, and making it easier, faster, and more transparent to do business and access public services. For me, the DPI is central to achieving the goals of SPEED. When we implement secure, interoperable, and inclusive digital systems, we are not just using technology, we are rebuilding the very experience of government for our people and businesses. Jamaica has already made significant strides on this journey. We have launched a new electronic national identification system, NIDS, which will provide all Jamaicans with secure and verifiable digital identity, enabling access to a wide range of services and opportunities. We are expanding broadband infrastructure across the country, ensuring that every citizen, no matter their location, can benefit from digital economy and essential digital services. And Andrew, I'm so pleased to see you here. I remember a couple of years ago, we were discussing what's the name of all the Jamaican workers at Google? Ju- Jabooglers, yeah, we were discussing because we are blessed. We had so many Jamaican workers at Google, and in fact, in all the tech companies. So at some point, we want to bring you all home as we start this drive to become a digital economy. But we are looking at the importance of broadband for some of the new services that we can do that I know YASA will be pushing in Jamaica. We have also established a national ICT authority, transitioning from eGov Jamaica to lead and coordinate our national digital transformation agenda. This institution will drive the modernization of public services and strengthen digital governance with a clear, cohesive approach. In line with these efforts, I want to announce that Jamaica has officially joined the Global 50 in 5 campaign, right? A bold initiative to accelerate the implementation of DPI around the world through shared learning, partnerships, and innovation. Chief Information Officer at the ICT, Anika Shuttleworth, is aware of this initiative and its importance, not just as a technical commitment, it is a commitment to transforming lives. Jamaica sees itself not just as a beneficiary, but as a contributor to the global movement around DPI. We believe that small island developing states like ours have unique perspectives and strengths to offer. Through 50 in 5, we will learn, share, and lead. I was pleased to hear that many countries in this room, including our Caribbean neighbors, Belize and the Dominican Republic, are also part of this initiative. I encourage all countries represented here to collaborate with us in this shared effort. Let us work together regionally and globally to modernize our systems, empower our people, and build governments that work better and faster for everyone. In fact, it is a driving passion of mine not to go back to the private sector the way that I left it. So I find that this means this responsibility and my work with you will enable us to create that new environment for doing business. It is my goal for Jamaica to be in the top 5, if not number 1, place to do business in the world. And that will depend a lot on how we drive the digital infrastructure for our country. So I look forward to our next speaker, John Lloyd, Director of 15.5, who will tell us more about this exciting initiative and how we can all contribute. So, as we close this summit, let us carry this momentum into action. The future of our region is digital, and we must design that future to be inclusive, secure, and transformative. Digital public infrastructure is not just a tool, it's a foundation for faster services, smarter government, and stronger economies. Let us build this future together with speed. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ambassador Honourable Audrey Marks. I'm absolutely thrilled, or as I think you say here in Jamaica, miari, to have Jamaica join as the newest 15.5 country, joining Belize, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Guatemala, Mexico, and Uruguay in the LAC region. Many of these countries are represented here today. Your commitment to safe, inclusive, open, and interoperable DPI is truly something to celebrate. I'm John Lloyd from the Digital Public Goods Alliance, and I also lead the 50 and 5 campaign in close collaboration with some of my colleagues and friends in this room. Alda from CDPI, from Co-Develop, Dan from CDPI, Julia from IDB, along with UNDP, UNICEF, GovStack, UN Women, and many other organizations helping countries implement foundational DPI. We stand at the cusp of a digital revolution, a transformation that promises to reshape societies and economies across the globe. We already know that Jamaica knows how to go fast, but if we want to go far, we go together. And Jamaica is showing, by joining 50 and 5, that this isn't a journey to be undertaken alone. You're signaling your belief that by working together, we can all do great things. The 50 and 5 campaign has a bold goal to see 50 countries design, launch, and scale vital components of their DPI safely, inclusively, and interoperably within 5 years. That's by the end of 2028. Whether a country is a digital frontrunner or just beginning its journey, 50 and 5 welcomes you. This is about shared growth, shared knowledge, and shared success. At the heart of 50 and 5 is the spirit of cooperation. No country participating in 50 and 5 will have to tackle DPI implementation alone or start from scratch. All participating countries benefit from having the opportunity to learn from one another by sharing insights on their DPI journeys and exchanging best practices. For some, it's about evolving existing systems. For others, it's about laying a strong foundation. And through this collaboration, we accelerate learning, reduce adoption time, and ultimately lower costs. It's not about geography, income level, or digital maturity status. It's about a shared mindset. This campaign champions the sharing of technologies as digital public goods and open source. We've heard over these past 3 days about the power of open source solutions, readily available, adaptable, and scalable. It's about empowering nations with the tools they need, fostering local innovation, and building robust vendor ecosystems. We're breaking down barriers and building bridges, connecting countries through a common purpose. This isn't theoretical. This is happening right now. We're shaping the future of the world we want to live in and how we want to be. 50 and 5 is more than a campaign, it's a global movement. It's an opportunity for countries to showcase their ambition on the global stage, to influence the digital agenda, and to demonstrate true leadership. So, for others in the room, Embrace the spirit of collaboration. Let's work together to build a digital world that's inclusive, equitable, and transformative for all. The future is digital. The future is collaborative. Let's build it together. If you want to find out more about 50 in 5, check out 50in5.net or just come and chat to me afterwards. But before we wrap up, I've been so inspired by the spirit of togetherness in this room since we sat down together. I can't believe it was a couple of days ago. But I truly believe that there's a unique opportunity here for all the countries in this room to demonstrate global leadership through regional cooperation on DPI. Dr. Inshan, your words have really struck a chord in me. We do this work out of love. From my home country of Aotearoa, New Zealand, there's a Māori proverb, and it goes, He aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. And that means, what's the most important thing in the world? It's the people, it's the people, it's the people. In the conversations I've had with many of you here, it's clear that you want to improve people's lives, that we're focused on people, and understand that DPI implementation isn't the end goal. It's the enabler to making lives better and delivering a future we can be proud of. So thank you so much. And now, Matthew, wherever you are, I'd like to invite you up, and we're going to recap the past few days together.
I'm Dr. Mansing.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going. Well, it won't work on your thing, right?
It should be nice.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Are you hearing me? Awesome.
And you're hearing me too?
Okay. All right. So the three of us are going to take us through the next few minutes. No new content. I know that the last I've been hearing is an information load that has happened, but I started on Monday saying that I was just bowled over by the room that we had here, by all of you, and the fact that you've all remained, which Dr. McNaughton had mentioned. And, I want to start with kind of two prompts that I feel like has resonated throughout the 3 days that persons have mentioned. I think this week was motivated by this idea and this question, which is that I've shared with you all on Tuesday, as to whether we can really build a Caribbean region that matches the ambition of our people. And I don't think DPI alone is going to solve that problem. But I think through the conversations that we've had over the last few days, through the things that we've heard from the different parts of the region, I think it can contribute in a way that is very different from how we've approached change, digital transformation, and broader development in the region. So I want to say thank you to all of you, and thank you to this room. I think everyone should give themselves a round of applause for what we've. The second thing I want to kind of pull out is this idea of speed. And I've actually really liked that multiple persons have mentioned that. And really going back to this idea that speed is a component of scale. We do want to completely transform the region, but as we're seeing go across, not just in Jamaica, in Trinidad, and everywhere else, people want that change today. They want that change sooner. And it's not something that we want to come back in 40, 50 years to accomplish that thing. We have to figure out, how do we do that in our lifetime? How do we make that progress at a pace that people feel and that they can observe in their day-to-day? And so, again, I wanted to say thank you to everyone. I think we've heard those comments coming back from the speakers. And just want to say that we're going to talk a little bit about how we think about speed moving forward. Any thoughts?
And, Matthew have said it all, but what I would just like to, summarize in just a few words what I saw in these last 3 days, and we had this conversation even on day one, that cooperation versus competition. So that's very, very critical in our region, that we all are cooperating and not really competing with each other.
because we are trying to enable the lives of all the citizens in the region. And the second thing is that this is not really futuristic technology. This is absolutely foundational technology, which is going to impact every citizen in the region. So it's something we should be really working towards. And we should have done this long time ago. So
Absolutely.
so at least we are now all talking in a room, and we managed to put this conference together. Maurice and I were talking about this conference from last year or last to last year. It was still a fuzzy concepts in our mind. And then there was this international DPI summit in Cairo, and we got invited and by co-develop, and they said, you must come. And we both said we should go, because if we have to take the region forward, then we really have to know what is happening in the international space. We can't be little islands which are, isolated. So I'm very happy that we went to the international conference, and then today and we have the closing ceremony of our first Caribbean DPI summit.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so as we move to closing, you want us to show one now? It's done.
Where do we go from here? They have to project it.
Oh, can you project his?
Yeah.
Here we go. We're live. Okay. Where do we go from here? So this, in case you may not have all realized, we've all have been a part of this little experiment that we're doing, which has really been trying to figure out how we move faster as a Caribbean region. And the first day and a half of the region was focused on the ideas, was focused on the concepts and the work. And then the last day and a half, which we just wrapped this morning, was very much focused on very tangible workshops around what could we do together? What could we do this year? What could we do in the next 6 months? And as part of that discussion, we've had a very generative dialogue around specific things, specific ideas that we could do together, but also to take moving forward. And want to do a little bit of a recap of that with the leads of those workshops, just so that people can get a sense of some of the things that persons that in those discussions had. Only about 30 seconds each, and I'm asking the workshop leads to keep themselves honest, to just share back. Everyone is going to be getting a bit of a note of this next week, by the end of next week, as we think about the next steps. I'm going to just invite Manu to just stand and kind of give us a sense from the workshops that you led, and then we'll just move to Ovo.
So, can you hear me? Yeah. So I was leading the workshop on credentials, but I also participated in the workshop on social protection. And I think that a few ideas that came across all the workshops. The first one is how we need to think ambitiously and think regionally, think cross-border, but also start small and move fast and start immediately. Second idea is how we can leverage existing solutions. We don't need to start from scratch. We can walk over what others have already built. And I think the final is the power of real stories. I think that's something that's really moving. So it's not about technology. It's about people losing time in lines, people losing job opportunities, people losing money. So technology, it's not at the center of what we are doing. People are at the center. So we need to also tell these stories, really engage to what the real people behind what we are trying to do are suffering and struggling. So that's a quick recap.
Thank you. Jordan?
Hey everyone. I led the research workshop today, and I think what became clear was that both governments and researchers really understand the value of studying the impact of these digital systems that we're all deploying, but there's an artificial gap between them, and they're not collaborating as much as they should be. So the key next step is we begin that collaboration with folks from civil society, government, researchers, academia. But we need to continue that, and we need dedicated sessions to focus on specific countries, learn the context, maybe think about some regional key questions that we can answer as a community and come together again.
Thank you, Jordan. Dr. Mency, you want to talk about education?
Morrison had led it together, but he had taken the lead. But I'll take from what we discussed in the workshop. This was a workshop on education and skills. Now, there was a presentation on OSPO, which is an open source program office. Now, open source is not a new kid on the block. And I remember when I was a PhD student writing a paper on barriers of open source adoption. And that was 2005, and 20 years later, we are still talking about open source. But the beauty is that we're talking about open source now for DPIs, our digital systems, which are going to be used for scale, for population. So we need that now more so, I think. But when we, if we work with a UNDP and IDB to really set up a OSPO, which is an open source program office, how do we really go about from there? Then we heard about sandboxes and having the regulatory sandboxes and the operational sandboxes. We have seen the regulatory sandboxes in our region before, Matthew, but what was useful was this operational sandboxes, which we often have, but we don't work in context of all the stakeholders coming together. So how does government, industry, and academia come together in setting these sandboxes? And we can set up the sandboxes right here on campus based on open source, and we can get our students to experiment with some of these open source based DPIs. And we saw a great presentation from Karma Yogi, I think our presenters who traveled the furthest to be here from India. Karma Yogi, which is for open source based platform for skilling public sector workers. And I think you have about 2,100 courses, and we can adopt those courses, we can put them. And so now there's so much content there that we would need different stakeholders, be it our media literacy, be it our school teachers, be it our public sectors, and we can set it up here at the university. And once it is ready, we can then deploy it in the relevant government data centers. So that is the relationship and collaboration that I'm thinking could come out from this workshop. Yeah. Maurice, is there something else you would like to add?
Just thanking Rachel on the opportunity that we have collaborated with our squad that we should take like.
Of course.
And accelerating capacity in the public sector in India to the tune of, I don't know,
millions. 20 odd million
in the course of 2 years. Minister, this is something that we will have to capitalize on, because with all the digital public infrastructure, human capital and re-engineering that and building that out is critical. And so that's an opportunity that we absolutely plan to pursue.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you all. There's a lot of work that's happened in those workshops. And I think what we're going to be looking at, I know I had a conversation with Rodney about the next ministerial meeting, which is going to be in September, the CTU's ministerial meeting. And so our ambition really is to take some of these specific ideas, some of these specific use cases that have been mentioned, and to be able to make sufficient progress to be able to present that back in September to the heads, the ministerial meeting on the work that we're doing. And so we'll continue moving forward.
There's your Mentimeter.
Okay, well, so there's one thing that I can go again. Yeah. One thing I want to kind of position within the context of the work that we're doing is this idea of +1 thinking. And the sense of that approach is really saying, and I think many of the ideas that we had over the last couple of days stemmed from thinking about points of origin to make trade much easier, to ideas around thinking about ensuring that every UA graduate could leave UA with a verifiable credential that would allow you to be able to verify that you have this exercise, and you have this degree in a way that's no longer paper-based, and how much that could create value for all of us. And I think we've been having conversations in the different persons that I've been talking to have been worrying about, well, it takes so hard to get stuff done at CARICOM level. We have institutions that are moving slowly. And I think part of what I want to challenge all of us and to challenge this room is that there's the key is trying to figure out what is the smallest unit of progress that we can make. And if we kind of think about it from that lens, it's much quicker for us to move from the perspective of iteration and rapid growth through that. And so to illustrate that, one more slide. I just wanted to show one specific thing, and you can mute John, but I'll just kind of explain what we're seeing here. is this idea that really small change can actually have an impact in a very exponential way. So the powerful thing about dominoes is that a domino can actually impact a domino that is a size and a half. And so it actually doesn't take too many steps to make a big change. And so that domino that he's showing is actually 5 millimeters. And what he's about to do is just showing that if we can actually find those single units, we can get much faster to much bigger change if we can do very specific things in a short period of time. And so he's going to drop it. If there was audio, there would be a little bit more of a thump in a second, but the last one is a little bit about a ton. Ooh. And so, but the key illustration that we don't have to start with the biggest domino. It's really about the pace of change and the pace of progress that we look to make. And so I think when we think about between now and the next 6 months, it's really about finding what is those small dominoes that we can make, that we can actually move the needle on so that we can get to the next big one and the next big one. And that's really what we talk about, trying to get the speed that allows us to get to the scale. And that speed is a dimension of scale and the kind of impact that we want to be able to unlock. And so I think with that, we're want to hear from you guys. So what we want to kind of do is a little exercise. So we're going to ask everyone to pick out their phones. It's a little exercise called I Like, I Wish. And so I want you guys to scan the QR code. They're also on the screens to the side. And the question I'd like persons to share is like, what did you like about the last 3 days? What stood out for you? What was interesting? Yeah, and let's hear what you guys all have to say. No worries. Jerk chicken, presence of government's conversations. Oh, sorry, I'm standing in the way apparently. So, okay. Anything stand out to you, John?
They're kind of in the groups here, but there's a lot about this connection. There's a lot about the conversations, and that was coming through with these messages about the importance of collaboration, working together. You make the connections at spaces like this. It's very hard to do it online. So having these human connections,
Yeah.
it helps reinforce the messages that you've been hearing throughout the day. So you can be learning about DPI, but you can also then talk about it afterwards and further your own understanding.
Scroll. I see what else is down there. Contra cases, the energy. Many first-time visitors to Jamaica. I think when we looked at Minister, when we had raised the room, I think about half of the people were coming from outside of Jamaica to be here with us. Diversity of participants under one roof, sharing best practices, desire to get practical, moving beyond conceptual, being inspired by others. I think that has been very much the case. We've been hearing from persons from not just within the region, but Rwanda, Brazil, elsewhere. Thank you all very much for that. The next part, we're going to ask you, I wish. What do you wish either we covered today? What do you wish we had done? Love to get persons' reactions or reflections on that.
I think it's the same QR code. Do you want me to bring it back up? There. It's up? Okay.
Oh no, someone is testing me on my Spanish.
It has a thumbs up, so.
Dan, what was the first one say?
Sharing the
Okay. Third day problems. Okay. Okay. How do we share technology? No worries. No worries. All right. So what I'm seeing from the room is wanted more local government officials to be involved. More time. Someone wanted more time. Have a clear roadmap. We're going to be getting to that. More opportunities for reflection after presentations. That's a really important point. To be able to see conversations about DPI governance and regulation. I think that's an input for the School of Digital Transformation in the summer. The tools that we need to cooperate, how do we produce them? Prototyping, awesome. To start from the 5%, okay, all right. Number of different inputs, thank you all. We'll keep those coming. And then the last one that I want to ask persons to,
I know everybody here wants to at least get a piece of Jamaica before they leave. So the bus, those persons that have signed up for the art walk,
That bus has to leave at 2 because the last tour is at 2:30. So please, if you might need to head downstairs like around 3 minutes to 2 to catch the bus.
we're moving to close. Okay. All right, and then the last one I ask persons is, I commit. So what are you willing to do differently in your individual capacities to collaborate across? We've had a number of different workshops that we've talked about this week. Moving forward, the workshops are potentially going to be moving into as working groups. And so persons can either follow projects or they can contribute to projects. I know there are a number of persons that have mentioned that they're interested in working on those things, but just curious to what persons might be interested to feed into the process.
It can be such a trap to attend something like this, get inspired, and then go straight back to your day-to-day and not move anything forward. And so we really encourage you to not do that.
Okay.
One that's standing out to me here is sharing info with decision makers so we can move. And we heard the importance from the Dominican Republic earlier about high-level buy-in being so essential to moving the DPI agenda forward.
Awesome. Okay, so organizational commitment. All right, OpenFN is committed to support any DPI project with automation and data exchange. Yeah, please continue to share these. I want to get those persons on that art walk. So as I said, we're going to be in touch. I think we're going to be working with the workshop leads to share everything, share the next steps for those groups. I think many of persons have also asked about the presentations. We're going to be trying to be pulling that together, getting the permissions of the speakers to be able to do that. And there will be an email over the next week to persons on that. I think I'll just close with this last thought, because there's been a lot of conversations about collaboration, regional collaboration, and what we as a Caribbean could do. And it's something that I've been thinking about quite a bit, and this idea of the sense of a we. There was a lot of cussing of CARICOM that's happened at different points. But I think it's important for us to reflect and to think about that there's no we but one that we create. And there's no we but one that we invest in. And so if we want these institutions, if we want the historical relationships that we've had to mean something, then it requires all of us to contribute to that thing meaning something. And so I think we're going to try to figure out how we can, as a group, as this body of work, to contribute to making that we mean something. And that's going to be the work that we'll do. And I think, Inshan, you've inspired us all. And I just want to kind of close again with what Inshan said, that, when we collaborate, even small nations can pioneer great change. And so thank you all. Safe travels. We're blessed.